Welcome into Wager Talk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Tony Mejia and Jimmy Adams of WagerTalk.com as we are talking Saturday college football, the game of the century, number 1 versus number 2, Georgia versus Tennessee. Jimmy, coming to you first here, 66 being the total. Georgia was minus 8.5, minus 9. As we're talking earlier in the week now, it's minus 8. So guessing some Tennessee respected money here in the marketplace early on in the week. What are you thinking between the top 2 teams in the country, according to the AP poll here, Jimmy?
Yeah, definitely the game I'm most excited to see this weekend, along with many others. The Volunteers just continue to cash tickets. Tennessee still not getting a lot of respect based on the opening number anyway. I was a little surprised to see that it opened so high, but I agree with the line move. A lot of people were on Kentucky last week. Look, I was one of them. And then Tennessee absolutely beats them down 44-6. Will Levis has just 98 yards with 3 picks, and he was facing what was a statistically weak secondary with the Volunteers. I mean, they had been terrible on paper all season. Anyway, we all know this offense is as good as any in the country, averaging 49.4 points per game. They've proven more than anyone that they can step up in class. I mean, look at their resume. They beat Bama, the aforementioned Kentucky, at LSU, probably the most difficult place to play in the country, 40-13, beat Florida. So this team is absolutely battle-tested as much as anyone, like I said. And look, I don't have anything bad to say about Georgia. They appear to be every bit as good as last year's national championship team. But I'm going to go ahead and play the number in this one. I mean, we're still getting over a touchdown. And until proven otherwise at this point, Tennessee is absolutely a bet-on team. Give me the Volunteers to at least keep it close this weekend.
All right, Jimmy. And Tony, coming to you next. We could joke around about game of the century, and that stuff. It is cool to see, a number 1 and number 2 team play in the regular season. Truth is, this is really more important for the SEC East championship game. It's going to be tough for the loser to actually make it to Atlanta. High importance on this one in Athens, Georgia. What are you thinking between the hedges on Saturday?
No, it's a huge matchup, obviously, for both teams. And Kirby Smart had lost his first game against the Vols and has not lost since. 5 straight victories in this series for Georgia. And last year's game was the first one involving Josh Heupel. They lost 41-17. Heupel's got a much better grip on what he wants to do in terms of speeding up that tempo with Hendon Hooker running the show. So I expect the Vols to be a lot more competitive here. But, Georgia has played all these big games over the past, 5-6 years where they become a national power, and most of them end up being played on the road. So certainly between the hedges, that gives them an advantage here. I don't want to lay more than a touchdown, even with Georgia at home, simply because Tennessee can backdoor on a cover late, and this game should be competitive. So I think it's priced me out of it, but certainly all eyes will be watching this game. The total seems a little high as well, even though Tennessee wants to go vroom, vroom, vroom. I would think that Georgia's going to have their ability to get stops, and if they get some red zone turnovers or possessions that typically end in 6 for the Volunteers, make them settle for field goals, the under is a play for me. But yeah, I mean, all eyes will be on this one, mine included.
He's Tony Mejia. We heard from Jimmy Adams as well. Guys, at the top, we were talking about -9, -8.5, down to 8. Best place to check that out, to know the sides and the totals in college football, is WagerTalk.com, the live odds screen. It's the best free live odds on that live odds there. Check it out, WagerTalk.com. Welcome into Wager Talk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Tony Mejia and Jimmy Adams of WagerTalk.com as we're talking Saturday late night here, Tony. 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific kick in the Conference of Champions. We get UCLA at Arizona State. -10.5. That's the Bruins as the road favorite. 66 being the total. What are you thinking in the desert Saturday night, Tony?
Well, UCLA definitely has to be wary of the upset because that's really been the ingredient in this series. 5 outright upsets in the series since 2015, including 3 in a row. So the favorite team tends to let its guard down. The Bruins have won 4 out of the last 5 and covered in those games as well. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson took a lot of hits against Stanford. He says he's fine. Same thing with Zach Charbonnet. But yeah, those guys, did take a physical beating in the 38-13 win over the Cardinal. So got to monitor those two specifically. They're the 2 key cogs in the UCLA offense. And then ASU at this point, they come off a victory at Colorado, 42-34 in a high-scoring game. This is probably the toughest game on their schedule remaining. So I think it's kind of a free roll for them. And then we'll see if in a season where they replaced Herm Edwards, if they can finish strong and backdoor their way into a bowl. I don't see it happening. I certainly would say that UCLA is a rightful road favorite here. Double digits. About right. My lean would be to the over in this game.
And Jimmy, coming to you next. UCLA, I'm looking to bet them, but laying doubles on the road. I thought Tony brought up a good point there in terms of, I don't know, Arizona State at home. They've been playing some better football the last month. What are you thinking here in the desert Saturday night?
So I'm always looking for good home dog spots, but I just can't see Arizona State. I just don't know how they're going to stay in this game. I mean, when the Bruins play inferior competition, they're putting their foot on the gas and absolutely blowing teams out. Their latest victim, Stanford, who they thumped 38-13, ran for 324 yards, and they hold a significant advantage, obviously, on both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. And they have quality wins as well, at least as far as the conference is concerned. They beat both Washington and Utah by double digits, only lost at Oregon in what was kind of a weird game. Arizona State, they're clearly a rebuild team. They got by Colorado last week. But when asked to step up in class, they've just been getting blown out routinely. A 42-25 loss to USC, a 34-13 loss to Utah at home. They use an up-tempo attack, against Colorado. And if they do that again here, I see a lot of 3-and-outs coming. I just don't think that's just going to tire out the defense. And I do not see good things coming Arizona State's way on Saturday. Bruins 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings. Road team 7-3 against the spread last 10. I'm going to lay the chalk with the Bruins.
He's Jimmy Adams. We heard from Tony Mejia as well. Check them both out. WagerTalk.com, guys. A good day to do so is Tuesdays. It's $2 Tuesdays. Top handicappers, top play, discounted to just $2. Check it out. WagerTalk.com.